Hi, everybody. Welcome to Piercing the Veil.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Nice seeing you.
So, I hope everybody's had a great week and been watching all our content and stuff. And because we've been on shows and we've been having our own shows and got a lot of guests lined up. And
Got
so, I
the
hope you guys
24
are all
going.
enjoying it.
We got a professor in the house.
Yeah, Professor and Blazer and Gary and Denise. They're all starting
Henry.
to pop in.
Yep. Welcome in, guys. Well, I guess if you'd asked me a year ago if I'd become good friends with someone in Australia, I'd probably go, huh? What? Well, we've become really good friends with Chloe and talked to her on the phone several times, and we are excited to have her back. And she's got a show that we watch every single week, which is our Tuesday night, but her Wednesday mornings. So right now it's Monday morning over there.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? We just love having her on and talking to her, and we talk to her through Messenger and online, and we just got to know her so well. And what's like the third time,
I
I
think
believe,
so.
at least the third time she's been back with us. And tonight we're going to talk about interdimensional healing and connecting with whether it's Sasquatch or whatever's in your area. You can sense them and start to get a real good connection with them and start to know them, and they can know you, and hopefully you can communicate with them. So that's going to be kind of where we're going, and along with other stuff. So if you guys are all ready, we can bring Chloe up and
Yep.
we'll start talking. Hello, welcome
Hey,
back.
welcome
Hello.
back, Chloe.
How you going? You can hear me all right, hey? Yep.
Yeah,
Yep, we can hear you good.
Great. Lovely to see you guys.
yeah. So
Again.
it's so nice having you back. And like I said, we've had you on a couple of times, and we just love bringing you
Yeah.
back and talking about different subjects. And we'll just see where we go tonight.
Yeah.
Yep, let's do it. Like when I do the Whimsical Wednesdays, it's like whatever, we just go with the flow. I'm not going to structure it in any way, and we're just going to see what comes through. So, yeah, I think that's the best way to be. Not too
Yeah.
many expectations.
So, in case somebody's here
Yeah.
for the first time, why don't you tell them what you do and where they can find you? Because I know you have a Rumble and a YouTube, and
Yeah.
you're branching out just like us. So, why don't you give them just a little information about yourself? And
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about the lights, guys. It's just the spooks going on and off.
No, just gonna tell them that, yeah, don't worry, the lights are going on and off.
Don't worry, there's spooky activity always. Well, I'm a multidimensional healer. I run a practice called Chloe Ariell Soul Sessions, where I use my psychic medium abilities with my energetic therapeutic background, and I'm able to get to the origins of people's issues. And sometimes that takes me into a multidimensional reality, as in, like, we are multidimensional beings, and we can even be living in parallel lifetimes, past lives. I've been and experienced so many different things in healing people. A lot of people have trauma from their childhood, and I'll be able to talk to the inner child and get to the origins of what the issues are that are affecting the physical body. A lot of people have stuck emotions that haven't cleared intergenerationally, so we can go back up to ancestral lines, 39 generations prior. That's the reason why you've got a stuck elbows, because your great grandfather had an issue with being flexible, and issues with the government. You know what I mean? And it continues on generation after generation until somebody down the line clears it. So I help with that energetically. I do it mostly via Zoom. Mostly people nationally around Australia or overseas. So I'm able to do this work via distance, which is interesting. Unfortunately, this area is real in its infancy, multidimensional healing. And I don't really know how it's going to work, because we've got, unfortunately, a lot of scammers out there who, say that they can do the work that they can do, but they don't deliver the results. So I'd, I'd, I'd say for people who are looking for people like me to always have someone who's already been to them and get a personal referral. So yeah, unfortunately, it's an industry that's not regulated. But I find it so fascinating. I'm never going to be bored in this job, in this role. And I'm also able to clear spirits by distance as well. So it can be people who have ghosts stuck in houses in America. That's actually happened in a soul session. I was doing a healing with someone. Actually, that's a good example, actually. I did a healing with in, what's it? What's that place with all the beads? Oh, New Orleans. And I was working with her doing just a soul session healing, working on a specific issue that went back to, I think it was a past life, and we worked on clearing the past life. And then she's like, right at maybe half an hour towards the end of the session, she goes, "Oh, so I've had this weird thing happen, banging in my garage, constantly hearing banging downstairs." And I'm like, "Well, I'll go and have a look. While you've got me here, I may as well have a look and clairvoyantly see what's going on there." So I had a look down in the garage, and there's this guy, he's a Latino African guy, from California in there.
Oh,
And so he was,
Wow.
he had, I could kind of get a feeling that he was like gangster affiliated. And I was telling her this whole story, and I said, he's really connected to the car. He's got,
Hmm.
so tell me about this car. She goes, "Oh my God, I've just driven that car from California to here only recently."
Ah.
It's like some sort of Cadillac, really slick looking Cadillac, you know. And she goes, "Yeah, I would actually say ever since I've had that car, that I've heard the banging down in the garage." So anyway, I talked to him, and he's just like, he's attached to the car as a
Hmm.
spirit. Everything, he's put so much work into the car to fix it up. And so I just have a conversation with him. I say, "Hey, look, you've passed on. You can't take the car with you. We're going to let go of all the, you did a lot of work. You know what they say, you can't take it with you, right? When you go to the
right.
other side. There's a lot of
Right.
spirits that are attached to objects, cars, houses, and you understand why they are, because they've put so much energy into working and building that up, and then they die, and they're like, well, what was all that for? So you have to go with the process of helping him. I connected him back to his family in the afterlife, and that helps a lot when they've got that heart-to-heart connection, that they can move on and go to the light. She was very grateful, because the banging stopped, and she.
Nah,
I'm sure if that continued, then she'd probably have issues with the car,
Yeah.
which actually has happened in another clearing that I've done. Now that I'm doing this, I'm getting all these other clearings that I've done, and it kind of links onto them as well. Yeah.
now when you connect with the, I don't know if you were there in person or did it through channeling or however, but when you finally find that entity or whatever's there,
Yeah.
do you find out anything about that person? You know what,
Yeah.
why they're there, or how they
Yeah.
got there, or
Yeah. All of it.
all of it?
Yeah, because they have to tell their story to kind of work through the emotions, just like I would when I'm doing healing one-on-one with people in front of me. I work the same way that I do with people in front of me, flesh and blood, that I do with spirits who are in the spirit form. But spirits are usually a lot easier, generally speaking. They are, because they're just spirit form. They don't have the flesh and blood where the energy gets stuck. So when you're bringing the divine energy, and they can feel it, and then they realize how much they've been disconnected and how much they miss having that beautiful, creator's energy inside of them, and they're like, "Oh wow, this is really nice." That can be all that it is. "Oh, this is what I've missed out on." Oh, and I said, "Yeah, let it go. Let all that grief, trauma, stuck emotions, and their story." So the guy from California was telling me about the story. I remember there was a gun involved, something about drugs, how he used to drive that car around, and that was his like drug car, and so I was just letting him know, God is not a judgmental God, because a lot of people think that when they go to the afterlife they'll be judged and they'll go to hell and there's all this judgment there. It's not like that at all. It's we come here to learn the lessons that we learn, and yes, you've done not some great things, but you can course correct. You can let go of all that stuff, and then you can be lighter, and then you can go meet your family in the afterlife. Ta-da! And then when you go to the afterlife, you get more healing as well. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing that I tell spirits, actually, is that God is not a judgmental, or the creator. Some people have issues with religions, or they've had religious persecution, or, just experiences that, such as being in homes and et cetera, like that. You have to, it's case by case. It's not you don't use a cookie cutter approach with any spirit, because every spirit is individual, as is everyone I meet. They've got their own story. They come with their own energetic characteristics, even from past incarnations. We all come with different characters. And what works for Gerald is not going to work entirely for Jane,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's where I come in. I use my intuition because most mediums or psychic mediums are energy conduits. That's what we are. And as actually all of us are, as human beings, multidimensional. We are all multidimensional, and we just don't know it. We are actually all energy conduits, but we just don't know it. It's just, how do I work with this? How do I work with this machine, this consciousness of mine? Realizing that we're actually all connected is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I can do this work in Australia, and work with a man in California who's got some issues. He's a spirit in a ghost in New Orleans, because I know that my consciousness, he's got consciousness inside of him. There's part of him that has consciousness. I just kind of fan the flames and bring more of that out, and we get rid of all the low vibrational stuff. And I just remind him of who he is, really. Yeah. Should be something.
So this being that went from California to New Orleans, or Louisiana.
Yeah.
So did he travel there while he was still alive and then died in New Orleans?
No, he died in California and traveled with her with the car. He just didn't want to leave the car.
Oh, okay.
And I remember her saying, at times I'd have the heebie-jeebies. She'd say, like, someone's staring at me. She's saying, that's always a big fat giveaway. I feel like I'm not alone. I can feel, because their consciousness is looking at you, but we can't, generally people can't see them because they're not of the flesh and blood, But if you switch on your clairvoyance, which we all have, our senses, and put that above everything else and trust it, which we don't do, we tend to just dismiss everything. Doubt. No, it can't be so. It can't be so. But if we actually trust it and switch that on, you'd be amazed. Oh, wow, I trust what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like something's staring at me. A lot of people go into post-cognitive dissonance. This is what they call it, right? Because they don't want to actually know that there's something else around. So that's why you'll have these people that deal with ghosts for years and years. I don't know how they would have done it, weeks, months, years. Oh, don't worry. So we're able to kind of dismiss the whole reality. We're very good at that, human beings. So just no, that's not happening, because it's a coping mechanism. I've got to get through this, And they'll call me up, I don't know, like a year later to clear a ghost in their house, because it's like the last resort, because this ghost is starting to throw things around, do all these things in their house. It's making its presence quite obvious and felt. So then they're like, okay, I can't deal with it. My children are being affected. Okay, let's call Chloe the ghost clearer, Yeah.
So the guy was attached to the car, you said? He wanted to be with the car? Not necessarily the person, but the car.
The car.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And he just had a lot going on. Like, I'm getting the visuals back of him now. And he had I can see the gun in his lap. And the lifestyle that he led, and it's like all these different ghettos in California, and he owned, or territorially, like, I'm not in that reality, but this is what he was showing me his world was like, you know. So there was a lot with that car, and coming from abject poverty, basically, and building that up and getting that car, it represented so many things. Yeah, it's interesting. There was a whole story with it. It was quite a while ago, and I know that there was another twist with it as well. But yeah, I can't remember it right now. Anyway.
Now, do you think he had a purpose? Because you always hear that, people don't cross over, don't go on because they haven't finished their task, or they're attached to a loved one and waiting for them to pass along with them. Or, I mean, do you see a lot of that going on?
Yeah, absolutely. But this one was really different because he was attached to the car. You know? I had another guy who was it was a situation that you'd think that a spirit. I'll give you another example of this. There was another spirit that I was clearing in Melbourne, and I was up in Queensland actually. And this lady, she was Italian, and their truck 6 times it had to go and get fixed and put into the repair shop 6 times, and they said there's no reason for it. It just the pipes. They're saying the electrical wires were getting pulled out. All these things that were really odd. So they went, okay, this is after. You think after 3 times it'll be like, okay, maybe there is a paranormal thing, but no, 6 times. And so they rang me up, and it was actually a soldier that had died in the 1930s, and was still thinking that the Italians were the enemy, right? Back in war, the Italians were of the side of the Japanese, so not with the Allies, not American or Australian. And so this soldier who was still stuck, very angry, and I do see like mental health issues with ghosts, which is really interesting, like a form of like complex PTSD, all sorts of issues with the mind. And you'd think in that in between that they would somehow be healed. It's only when they go to the light that they generally get the healing that they need. But in the in between, there's it's when I first started doing this work, it was quite profound for me to see that there was a lot of ghosts with mental health issues, you know. So then I helped him clear the anger and the healing, and I bring a frequency in. So I asked the Great Spirit to help me bring in a frequency to help him clear the energy. And they usually generally feel the beautiful light coming over them. This is how I work with spirits. They get the healing energy over them. They feel it. I get them to feel it in their reality, in their flesh and blood reality, as in like feel the beautiful energy going over your flesh, your bones, your muscles. Get that nice feeling, and now let go of the other things, put it into the earth. And then I'll call in the relatives. For him, he wanted his comrades because he was really close to them. Yeah. A lot of soldiers, they'll bring in their like a lieutenant or commander or and then all their buddies in wartime. So they came in, and he was able to go to the light. He was taking all the electrical wires and everything out because he was still doing his job as a good soldier. And he saw this Italian family as the enemy.
Oh, okay.
And so in his reality, it was back in time, and I could see the sorghum and the wheat, and it was it was rural area back in his time in the 1930s, but it was a built-up suburb back in 2023. It's a built-up place, house everywhere, houses around. But yeah, so soon, and then I cleared him. So obviously they had no issues with cars anymore, and the truck was getting a good start, and it wasn't having all the wires and everything pulled out of it. So it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So not only do you have to be a medium channeler, but you have to be a psychologist too to work through what they're feeling, what they're going through.
Yeah, I think it helps actually to have kind of all of it. I mean, it does help that I trained as a therapist, and I worked as a therapist for a few years before I started doing this work. I embraced my medium skills because I knew that there was sometimes with therapy and psychotherapy you only get to a certain point, and I was constantly having to silence myself because I could see clairvoyantly what was the origins of where the issue was coming from. But because of the system that I was working in, I couldn't talk about it. I had to sort of just, I'd get intuitive hunches, as most therapists or counselors do. You'll get a kind of feel about where it's coming from and hold space. But yeah, this work just really goes to the origins of the energetic or stuck energies a lot faster when you're using both psychic mediumship abilities. And, I'm not like people, I'm complex. People are complex. You have to use all these different things in the toolbox that you've got to help the other person or to serve that person. So, yeah, it helps having a psychotherapeutic understanding of, what's going on with this person. Because a lot of it is them, not being able to forgive themselves, for the things that they've done. That soldier, he's dealt with war and killing and,
trauma
Right.
so much going on there. And also when you're working with spirit, you've got a spirit team there with you. So I'll be able to call on the right appropriate spirit helper for that particular person. So I worked with a lady. I get a lot of people, some people stuck who've got dementia, who are older, who are kind of confused and don't go into the afterlife, and I'll get like a lady in spirit who's a nurse specifically that will have the right things to say to that spirit, like, come on, it's your medication time, just come through the light, we're going to have tea and scones with our auntie or something. And I see them working and I'm like, that's very clever, that's smart. And then they end up going through the light in their walking chair or whatever in their reality, It's really interesting.
Do they know that they've passed? Do most of them know that they're have the ability to go to the light, or do they kind of continue what they've been doing, not realizing that, hey, I'm not really interacting with anybody, or do they realize that?
Yeah, some do, some don't. Some there's one person I offer so many stories with ghost clearing. Gosh, there's someone I worked with a couple of weeks ago in Melbourne, and he definitely knew he was a ghost. And he was a trickster, not a trickster, like a tricky person. And he was when I was clearing with him, he was making some dirty jokes at me, and I was quite surprised. Come over here, sit down next to me, love. And I said, no, I don't think so. And I think you're going to be respectful towards me. Everything I said about that guy was verified. Like the lady said that the neighbors would speak about him because he was a bit of what they call a player. So he'd get around the neighborhood ladies, even though he was married. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So he knew he was definitely stuck. He just didn't want to go to the light. He said, oh, no, I've got lots to do here. Because she was getting the place renovated, completely pulled out and renovated. So he was there as a plumber to get everything, he was overseeing it. In his mind, he was overseeing everything that was going on with the construction and the crew. But it was causing issues because the tradespeople could feel him around.
Right.
So, yeah. So, there was one guy going down the ladder, I think, and then something happened where it was all these little near incidences were happening. Like then someone nearly fell off a thing, and he was just getting way too involved in what was going on there. So she called me up, and then I cleared him. So he definitely knew that he was because it was all about control, his issues. And when I worked with him, like in psychotherapy, you can take it can take years for people to really move past their stuff, right? But when I'm working with a spirit, I can work with that spirit over an hour, and he can work through his stuff and bring it up. And it went straight to the core issue of having no sense of control, a very authoritative father. And so he felt like he had no control in his life. So that sense of being out of control came out in certain ways. You see what I'm saying? But
right.
You do that may be 3 years down the track in psychotherapy, but with a ghost, it's like, I'm in an hour working with you, and you've told me your story, you figured it out. you've reconnected back to your dad. So his dad came through and said, sorry, son, and they healed their father-son relationship. This is a man in his 60s. And that was really beautiful. And then his wife came in, and there was this beautiful meeting there and a forgiveness thing going on, because he is a bit of a scoundrel, I think. The way he was talking to me, come sit down here, love, get closer to me. I'm like, no, I don't think so. Yeah, they still take their personalities through, that's for sure.
Do they get frustrated, do you feel, when they're trying to interact with people, or tell, like that plumber or that construction guy telling them, hey, you need, he's trying to say, hey, I need this done, or I need this done, but they're not doing it the way he thinks it needs to be done?
Yeah, he was getting frustrated. That was the main issue, that he was pushing the owner around. So the husband and wife, they had a couple of houses, but she was getting pushed around. And when she was telling me about it, I was getting pushed in the back. And so I had that as, to me, if spirit's pushing me in the back, it's just information. I'm like, he's really pushed you, isn't he? Does he literally push you around? Is he pushing other people around in the workplace? Yes and yes. She says, I feel hijacked. I feel like if I don't get the bathroom renovated in a certain way, that he's going to have a problem with it. I can't have it anymore. It's too controlling. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't want anyone pushing me around. That's for sure. So
they still have the characteristics like we do when we're living.
Yeah.
So that they have, whether they're narcissist, or like you said, they're maybe a player, or they're a businessman, or a construction worker, they still go through all that daily stuff they would have went through in their living, but they're still doing it in the spiritual life.
Yeah, from what I gather, I think that they can travel over different places quite fast. And I can just hear, I get from spirit now. When I say from spirit, it's my guides, my guardian angels. They said it also depends on the level of consciousness of the individual. So it depends on, it's best now to have an open mind in this world, in this reality, to realize that anything's possible. But some people are just so stuck in particular patterns and still stuck. The learning hasn't really gone through, just like people, Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So if their consciousness was lighter and let go and they'd healed, they're lighter, literally, energy, closer to the energy of the creator. So that's how they can go into the light, But if it's like, it is like unfinished business. You hear that all the time, right? It's like lead. Mm-hmm. Those issues that they've got is like lead in the body, And then they, and there's all this talk about, don't go to the light. The people have all these different opinions, but I say go to the light. Go to the light. The light's only good and lovely and angelic and light. From my experience. Oh gosh, what happened?
Yeah, it looks like you froze up. We can still hear you.
We can still hear you.
Frozen.
Oh, right. Yeah, everything's frozen here. I don't know. Someone didn't like that. Someone didn't like go to the light,
Go to the light, and then you got froze.
Yes. So, I've had to do a lot of clearings. I've done mass clearings as well. Especially massacre sites. I know it can get quite dark, what I'm talking about. Gosh, it's really frozen, hasn't it?
Yeah. So do you want to drop out just for a minute, leave, and then come back in? We'll add you, and we'll just say hi to everybody in chat while you're doing that.
Sure. Yeah. Spooky time. No, it's not. It's not letting me leave. It's doing what it did last time, right? When I did the Whimsical Wednesday. And I don't know why this happens. Sometimes I speak about things that somebody doesn't like, and yeah, I might have to go through on my phone. So yeah, I don't know if you can drop me out on that end.
Yeah, let me see what I can do.
They don't want her to talk. Oh, what's everybody been up to?
All right, let's see who's we got. Denise and John T came in, and Pixie. Hi, Pixie. Hope you're enjoying your song. And I know Robert worked on it and put it in a video, and he shared the
Mhm.
link in the chat.
I see
Gary,
Jessica,
yeah, Jessica, the Cryptid Huntress. I saw she popped in, and
Roger, Gemini.
Professor, obviously. So hopefully, Chloe will be able to figure out her problem and come back. Hi, Moon at Noon, Blazer, Roger. So hopefully she'll be able to pop back in and we can continue this conversation. I think it's fascinating to talk through these things. Oh, look at that. She's back already. I think she's coming in.
Tim Blazer said, "Are we just supposed to ignore the blinking lights behind Chloe?"
Well, I mean, that's what she's doing. I don't see a video from her yet, though. She's just back
No.
there.
I see Jessica, Moon at Noon, Roger.
So if you can, oh, she left
went
again.
out.
So it's fascinating, to think about people who have passed and is on the other side, but yet they haven't left for whatever reason, whether it's unfinished business or like the one guy had an attachment to that car and just loved that car so much. And I can't imagine not wanting to go meet your family and feel the love and bliss, but yet you love that car so much that you want to be around it, and you ignore the warm, happy feeling that the light comes over your body and you don't want to go. I mean, I hope that doesn't happen to me. I want to see my loved ones and just be happy. And not that I'm not happy now, but I mean, that's a whole different happy when you cross over.
She's having trouble with the land down under. Even on her own show, she'll start talking about something. It's like, oops, they don't want me to talk. And that's when interference or a black helicopter shows up or she freezes up. There she is. Let's see if it works this time. Right now, I still see white.
That's all I see is white. I don't know why her video's not coming through or camera's not connecting or something.
Well,
can you go to your avatar, Chloe? Can you bring your avatar up and then you can just talk?
And just talk? That's what I was wondering. I'll pop her up and see if she has a mic.
Can you talk and hear us, Chloe?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You just don't have any video, so you can, if you have an avatar, you can put it up there or just leave the black screen or...
Oh, gosh.
or you can leave and try to come back, but so far that hasn't been working, whatever's going on.
No, we can go this way, as long as we can hear you.
I'm trying. I don't know.
Well, it's no worries. Let's just continue the way it is, as long as we can hear you.
I'm sorry. This generally happens. I think there's definitely, you can probably see that there's an element of a war on consciousness. So a lot of ideas that get thrown around, especially when I'm talking about spirits and, go to the light. That was the thing that made me get cut off.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Well, it's going to raise the ascension of this planet, right? We're going through an ascension process, and this is what comes through from the interdimensionals, multidimensional reality, and this Earth. And I mean, your audience would understand that, right? So when you have this information that everyone can actually do this if they encounter a spirit, right, or a stuck energy, even if it is demonic, right, you can bring in the creator, the angelics, higher light, right? It's like walking into a room with a really bright flashlight and all the little cockroaches run away, right? That's how powerful the light is within all of us, right? And then you can reconnect the consciousness of that spirit back to the source of all that is. That's where they really need to be. And as you do that, you are ascending and lifting the vibration of this planet. And that's why I got cut off when I said go to the light.
Now, have you ever came across, and I don't know who we were talking to, but they talk about when they disconnect from the light, or they ignore going, that the light is still above them, but they don't ever look up to try to reconnect or wonder how to do it.
Yeah. I've
Then
had that before.
when they finally
Yeah.
look up, there's like a ribbon coming down or a connection made to them, whether it's a skinny beam of light or a ribbon that connects to them. Then they're connected back to the light.
Yep. I've had that. But you know how they're looking down? They're just so fixated and focused on the trauma and the stuck energies that they haven't moved through. So once I work through that, it's a lot easier for me to say, just look up to your right. Usually it's up. Just tell them, you'll get an intuition whether it's up or to the up and right. Because for me, I'll see the light above them. I'll get told by spirit. You can try it. Just look up to the light, because looking up to the light, sometimes it's not just enough. They'll look to the light and then they'll go, well, I don't feel like I'm good enough to go to the light. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, right.
Yeah. They'll have the unresolved trauma. A lot of times it's sabotage or stopping themselves because they don't feel like they're good enough to go to the light too. So that's why being a healer clairvoyant helps as well. But yeah, you could try. You try all sorts of tools in the box. It might be that they're a lost soul and they've lost their way. They can't see the light. So yeah, it's just about telling them that it's okay and there's the light. Go to the light.
So that goes right into our taglines, or what we always say here on Midwest Night Watchers, me and Jane.
Yeah.
Love yourself.
Yeah.
you got to love yourself before you can help others or whatever. And so that sounds like a problem in the spiritual life too. Like you said, they don't feel like they're worthy. So you got to love yourself. And we always say, keep looking up.
Yeah. Well, you can definitely take a lot of what we're saying into our earthly life. That's why we're here incarnated in this reality, is to learn. There's all these lessons that we're here to learn for our soul to experience all these different lessons so we can evolve and grow.
Yep.
So sad that I can't see my picture, but this is what you call targeting. This does happen to me, and I don't know why. But
so is it a webcam or is it on your laptop?
It's on my laptop. Yeah. I tried to go through my phone, but I can't. I'll try. Maybe if I go again in my phone. I don't know.
That's up to you. I mean, we're fine with the way it is, but it'd be nicer if we had video from you. But I mean, as long as we can hear your stories and what you're saying.
Yeah. It might be the lights flickering on and off that they have a problem with. I don't know. When I say they, I don't really even know. As censorship or something. There is a war on consciousness out there, but I don't want to put all my energy into it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. You don't want to put energy into negativity, and you want to stay light and happy. Just like we say, darkness cannot exist in light. So if you have that happy, loving, caring feeling, that they cannot come in unless you allow them to.
Well, that's right. And when you reconnect their hearts and just to their family or loved ones, because some people don't have family, but you always have someone waiting for you on the other side. Even if you feel like you don't have family, you have an angel or one of your spirit team come in to collect you. You're never alone. I think that's really important for people to realize that too. Secret agent Chloe.
So when you say they're disconnected from the heart, when you pass over in your I'm gonna say soul body, are you disconnected from the feelings in your heart? That you kind of attribute to your soul and your feelings. Are they not connected? Because you said you want to connect them back to their heart for their family.
It's just to remind them, because a lot of times they forget who they really are. That they are light, they are consciousness. So you're just reminding them of the connections that they have with their family or loved ones. And usually when you do that, it amplifies the heart energy and that heart connection. And they're like, oh, that's right. Oh, it's like they forget, like they're stuck in that reality or this reality. They kind of get fixated and stuck. So you're just reminding them of the heartfelt connections that they've got. So then as you do that, you amplify their consciousness, and then they're able to go to the light. That's it. That's sort of looking at it from the angle of the science of consciousness, of why.
I wonder when they're disconnected, why their family doesn't come down and remind them that, hey, we got this, we want you to come with us. Why don't they come down without being asked, or do they have to be asked?
Sometimes they can't see them. And I've worked with spirits where I've got two different spirits in a house, but they can't see each other because they're on different frequencies.
That makes
It's
sense.
interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a frequency thing. You know, if you're in a lower frequency, it's like a radio, right? You're going to be on a different channel.
So they're kind of stuck in between then. They're in between us and the living, and then the people who have crossed over, they're kind of in between.
That's right. And I call that place the void.
And,
the void, right?
Yeah, the void. It's like I've been there in in astral, like when I've in the dream state, I've actually slipped into that reality. And that's where you'll get all it's kind of like 4D, I suppose, fourth dimensional. And then you'll have all your entities and attachments and all sorts of stuff there as well. And kind of really, interesting beings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever came across a spirit that has a loving and kind heart compared to somebody who, like we talked before about people being narcissistic and all about getting their job done? Is there anybody that you've came across that's just been so loving and kind, but yet they haven't crossed over?
Generally, no.
No. Oh.
Yeah. That's a really good question, actually. I'll meet, and then you can see the sort of levels of consciousness. If you're living your life, you're joyful, happy, generally you'll just gravitate towards the light, right?
I guess that's true. If you don't have any worldly burdens, then there's no reason for you to stay here. You're happy.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can't figure out why I'm all black here, but we'll just go with it.
Just stay close to your microphone so we can hear you, and we'll be good.
It's kind of like I'm in the dark and telling spooky ghost stories.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So does anyone have any questions? I suppose we can.
I haven't seen any in chat yet. I'll bring them up if we have any questions. Please put them in all caps so I can tell a difference between you guys just interacting with each other if you have a question for Chloe. But let's talk about we were talking earlier before the show, and we've talked many times about Sasquatch clans and families that might be in people's areas. Let's talk a little bit about that and how you connect to them, or how can somebody start, knowing that there's a clan in their area, or what they should be looking for as far as trying to connect with them.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because as we do with Gerald, Jane, we always have these conversations that it's great because you just flow to wherever we kind of flow to, and nothing's sort of off limits. It's great. So when we were talking, Jane, you were talking about the local one that's there, that's vocalizing a lot. Energetically, it knows that you're open and you want to connect. And that's why they're extra vocalizations, right? So you actually energetic, and they can feel it because they're telepathic, right? They can feel what people's intentions are before they even get anywhere. So telepathy, you can't hide anything. Hence why there's probably a real move in this reality to not have people realize the consciousness and connect into the telepathic abilities, because once that happens, it's you can sense everything about that person, right? So from what I asked for I'm just using an example of your local one, if you don't mind, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
And we can maybe tune into another one if we can. But once you've got that connection with the individual Sasquatch, i.e. all family, and you've built up that connection, that's your doorway into the Akashic hive mind of the squash or the yowie, right? but it's really all up to the connection that you have with the squash. So right now I'm seeing a squash clairvoyantly in my mind, which is the one that I think that Jane's connected to. Or we can use another example, male, younger, starting a family. And I can even hear now, moved into the area.
Oh,
Yeah,
now,
so you haven't
can
heard him
they
too long?
tell that we're trying to reach out to them, or
Yes,
okay?
100%. That's the very first thing that I got, that you've made an effort to connect with them, and they know that. They feel the openness, they feel the safety with you, so they'll be around. They're like, well, we can rely on these people. They've got our back. We've sensed into them, and that you've got the A-OK. I'm getting a thumbs up.
Yeah, because we
Yeah.
always put out love and peace to them and say we want to get to know them. We don't want to intrude on them if they don't want us to, but we're trying to make that connection with them, and hopefully it'll happen.
Oh, it is already happening. You're
Yeah.
getting the vocalizations, tree knocks. Is that right? You're getting tree knocks
Yep.
as well.
Tree knocks, whistles.
Yeah, all of it. So it will continue. And I can even get that feeling of leaving something out. Do you leave food out as well or not?
No, I tried gifting them whistles and necklaces and harmonicas, but I've just seen them
And
kind of move it and
stones
play
and
with it, but they haven't
crystals
taken
and
anything.
No,
Yeah,
it feels
they
like
haven't
food.
taken anything. Huh?
Maybe food. Maybe food.
is there any? Can you ask them, or can they any particular food they like? Because we don't know. We hear peanut butter, but we don't know.
This is going to sound very strange, but I go with the very first thing that I get, and I'm getting like brownies, and I don't know what that's about.
Brownies.
Brownies.
Chocolate. Yeah,
Oh, good luck with that, because I've been wanting brownies for over a year. We haven't made them.
Isn't that funny? So if anyone wants to connect telepathically, it's just to have an open mind and understand that it is an energy exchange. So it's like giving and receiving. So that's what I'm doing as I'm talking to this one in particular. I can see brownie. I can also see, if you wanted to give an object, I see like a little kid's rattle, or a child's rattle, like a plastic looking rattle. And I feel like, because he's a family. And it's like there's pockets of reality, right, that these beings can go into. So I'm actually getting more information. So if you wanted to ask questions, I can be that interface or that telepath to get the information from. But I've got brownies and like a child's kind of rattle or toy. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
So have they
So
they seen the gifts we've been leaving out, the stones and crystals, and like Jane said, the whistle and little harmonica? Because we thought maybe they'd like to play with the harmonicas or whistles and blowing them, or because they make noise, and Jane uses them in the yard all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of this little bit of apprehension, possibly because it will maybe give their location up or something like that. But it's just
okay.
there's a not interested feeling.
Right.
And probably for a reason, I'd say, the whistles and stuff like that. Vocalizations.
Yeah, because I was trying it for a while, and then I kind of gave up within the last month. And I've got some rocks and stuff out there to see if they'll move them around, but I kind of gave up on the little gifting stuff right now because they've been kind of quiet for a while also. I really thought that they kind of moved on.
This is a new one. It's a male, and there's a female, and then a really small child, hence why the rattle, I'd say. Yeah.
You think he was the one that was with the fox that one night, and the fox was going yip, 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 yow, and he was going, woo?
Yes. Yeah, because the first thing that I got was noises, very vocal.
Okay.
So that's confirmed already, because I write everything down that I say, because sometimes you'll go, oh, what did I say again? Especially when you're telepathing. It's kind of like a nice, smooth exchange of information,
Yeah, because it wasn't a howl, it wasn't a woo, like something was really excited next to the fox, just going, woo! And I'm going, okay, that's definitely a different sound that I've ever heard around here.
Well, you know what? I think it's really interesting to ask about kind of their abilities and stuff, because I think a lot of people will be interested in that. Like, I'm getting this kind of feeling like in their reality, they're looking at our dimension, our paradigm as kind of stuck. They've got more movement to be able to move in between different realities, different dimensions.
Right.
We know that already. But he's just saying, because I'm asking him telepathically, right? And he says it's like, it's just something that switches on in the DNA. And I end up looking at the fur, and it's kind of like a mixture of, I want to say, nature or natural elements as well as animal elements. So it's both. So it's both natural and, or elemental is the word. It's more elemental. So that's kind of in between natural, because elemental is also inclusive of like the fae, leprechauns. All of that reality exists as well, just in a slightly different reality, as do dragons. You know, the list goes on, blowing people's minds. What?
And we haven't really sensed a dragon, but do you think they travel through our area?
There's absolutely no doubt. Dragons, from my experience with dragons, have been on the ley lines. So once you connect to the ley line, you've got strong ley lines there that are trade routes. And we've talked about this before, the American Indians used to walk down that way. There's a trade route at the back of your house or near your house, and you'd see the spirit of the Native American people and the women and the children walking back and forth from the river.
Yep.
There. That itself is a ley line or part of a larger ley line that I'm getting. What's that river? Illinois. What's the river called?
Illinois River.
Illinois River.
Yeah, Illinois River. It's like there's an energy in the Illinois River that I'm getting. Kind of like a water dragon or Illinois River. I keep on hearing, or the body of water. Yeah,
Well,
because
are dragonflies related to dragons at all?
I don't think so. Not from my experience, but wouldn't surprise me. I've channeled a dragonfly. Well, you channel them again. I think the technique here is that you connect to that individual dragonfly, and then you go in and connect to the kind of Akashic hive mind. Akashic is just the knowledge of the hive mind of that collective species. I've done it with horses before. So I've got the 3 horses here. I'll connect with the 3 horses, and then I'll ask, because they have dynamic issues. It's a long story, but I had to connect to the Akashic hive mind of the horses to kind of understand how to help them, how to help the dynamics. And they just said, it's just our way. But yeah, that was helpful when I did that, because it is, you get knowledge from there. And we can all do it. We can use the same formula to do through the dragons. The dragons, actually. That's what I heard loud and clear. I was meant to say dragonfly, but I said dragons. So yeah, we can do it through the individual dragon that we've had a connection to. And that's through connecting to the ley lines, sitting in meditation. You can ask. Sometimes I'll just pop through without you really being aware of it. You'll see the image of a dragon in your mind, like the one I connected to, that purple dragon. That sounds like Barry White with a really deep voice, that I was really surprised to come across in the dragon line or the ley line here. And then I asked him quite a few questions, and then I was able to kind of jump through his consciousness as the individual and go into the collective sort of dragon energy, which is like, they will say now that as we are all raising consciousness, then you have more capabilities increased in your DNA. As the DNA is activated, more of your light quota is increasing in your body, just as Chloe talks about. So this is me channeling, right, or telepathically connecting to them.
Okay.
So as you increase your light quota, you are able to feel and see and know us more, because you are increasing your consciousness and raising the frequency more into the 5th dimensional frequency. And so we are going to be much more active in your reality, into the physicality. There will be a physical manifestations of us, as there already have been on large scale situations, such as the eclipse. And I remember seeing this TikTok video, right, of someone looking up at the eclipse and seeing this dragon flying over. And that's the feeling that I get from talking here, that there will be much more physical apparitions or manifestations of dragons in the reality, just as there are going to be. More of you are going to connect to the Fae. More of you are going to connect to the elemental reality, but you have to lift your light quota, is what I'm hearing. How do people, and this is me sort of going back and forth asking questions, you can see how I'm doing it. How do people increase their light quota? And I see someone connecting into their heart and trusting, just as what we're talking about, right? And filling themselves up with light, doing the healing work for the generations. For it's not just yourself that you are clearing, but the generational trauma that you all hold within your beings. As you heal and let go of these and resolve them in your own psyche and your own biological being, then you are able to increase more light in your body, which makes sense, doesn't it?
Wow. Yeah, because a lot of times, Jane will go out there and we'll have mushrooms in our yard, or she'll see a butterfly or whatever, and she'll just send love out to it and talk to it and, tell how much she loves it. And we do the same thing with dragonflies. We'll see a dragonfly or two show up in our yard, and we'll go out there and spend time with it in the area that it's flying around in our backyard. And then pretty soon, 2 days, 3 days later, we have like a swarm of them, like 30, 40.
Yes, exactly. That is such a good example of it. They're like, hey, she's a really nice lady. Let's come on. You know how it works. Would you do the same thing with mice or rats? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had a little mouse on the front porch that every time I would play a handpan, he'd come out and look at me, and then I'd stop and he'd go back, and then I'd start playing the handpan and he'd pop out at me and look at me.
Isn't that adorable? That is amazing.
That's so cool.
It's so cool.
So could you ask the Sasquatch, we do have a lot of orbs, and some of them have like trails behind them, which I'm wondering if they're fairies. But of course, we got the bugs and bats. But we've got these rods and these skyfish, these little bumpy skyfish. Could you ask them, what are they? Do they know?
Am I asking the squash?
The squatch, if they know.
Whatever your guides or whoever you connect with.
Yeah, do they know what these rods are that's been showing up? There's been quite a few in my area this summer.
I do get a sense of the elementals, because we're connecting to the squash. The squash is showing me his dimensional reality, which is like just one slightly out of ours, and he's showing me like glow in the dark kind of energies that look like caterpillars, and one's going up his arm, and he's very friendly with them. This is what he's saying. The elementals have all different shapes and sizes, and some of them you would be quite surprised at what they look like. They can express themselves in different ways. When we look at a fae, this is what he's telling me, right? It's like I'm looking at like a star, like a 10-pointed star, and I can see the outline of a figure in the middle. That's how I'm seeing that. And I'm seeing this kind of like, it looks like a caterpillar of some description kind of moving through the ether or the energy. And he says the closest it would be of the elementals. Yes, this is what he's showing me. It's like a caterpillar energetically, and it's like, they're very hungry caterpillar, and it eats things. And now I'm wondering, what does it eat? What does it eat? It's like energetic leaves. Oh, see how you can go down the rabbit hole with this? It's quite amazing. It's like an energetic leaf that wouldn't be so clear in your reality. And again, he says there's so many different elements that have different shapes and sizes. And again, he says that many of your population is going to start seeing more and more and more of it. It'll become very normal in the next, I can feel, almost like 10 to 20 years. More of the younger children will be activated or already are activated with the ability to see clairvoyantly. Our generation is really about clearing a lot of karmic elements, doing the healing work. Hence why every medium that you hear talking always goes into, you need to do the healing work, because it's not just for the individual that you're doing the healing work, but for the collective itself. Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about, but anyway.
Do they sense portals out past our property? Because Jane has sensed and actually kind of seen a portal out back, but it was moving. It wasn't a stationary one. It was one that was moving.
Yeah, I had a square one moving along the tree line, and I was getting ready to record it on the ATM binoculars, and it fried out the binoculars to the point that we had to send them into the company, and they gave us new ones.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So what's the question? Is that it's definitely a portal, that's for sure. A square one, how fascinating. What was the question about the portal?
About, is it there all the time in our field? Is there a portal that moves around and stays in our location, or do they just come in and out? I was just curious if there's always a portal in the field out back.
How long has that portal been there for? Because I find that really fascinating. Because I'm getting like kind of like a man-made feeling.
Oh,
this is really strange. Because you can.
We only sensed it, or Jane saw it only for that one period of time. Then I don't think we've had that sensation since.
It was square, and it kind of looked like it was glitchy, like, something was going out of the matrix, and it was moving along the tree line. And I thought, that's interesting, and just getting ready to record, and the camera just fried out.
That is really strange. All I'm getting, I'll just tell you, man-made and holographic, and danger, do not go into it. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, okay.
Really odd, isn't it? Usually I'll be like, yes, it feels like a natural, it feels like a round one, and I've seen the round ones in the trees. Even if you sort of move your eyes or your perception in and out when you're looking at a tree, you'll get all the tree moving to a particular shape, and you'll see the natural portals through the way the limbs of the tree move around, and you can actually see. Like the SAS that came to my place up in far north Queensland from America through a portal, and I did a whole hour on the Whimsical Wednesday talking to a family of Sasquatch, which surprised me. That was a round portal, and it doesn't move. It wasn't moving. It's just under a tree in a particular area in the backyard. Yeah. So I don't know. It just feels a bit like, I don't know, it feels the word suspect about the square and the moving. And what did you get from it, Jane? What was your feeling?
This was, probably like 7 years ago. Well, maybe 6 years ago. We had binoculars for a while. And I was I was seeing regular orbs, that I was already fascinated with. But seeing this, I just kind of went, what is that? And I felt kind of off, like, okay, this is not normal.
Yeah.
And especially since we could not turn the binoculars back on. But luckily we got a new pair, but I haven't seen it since. And so it happened a few years ago.
Yeah, well, your feeling was correct, because I got it straight away. It was just like something really weird about that. Like, it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like a normal portal. It feels like something else. Could be even like ET related.
The ley line that we have that we know about, is there anything that we can do to help it, to heal it, to make it, do what it's supposed to, flow energy? Is there something we can do? Do they know?
Well, I can see crystals, and I can see Jane with a drum. Do you have a drum, like a hoop drum?
Yes. I have tongue drums, hand pan, which is a steel drum, and I've got Native American drums.
Yeah, the Native American hoop drum. I don't know if it's right
Okay.
here, but I can just see you, and I can see you banging on the drum, and there's when you're working with ley lines, it's all about the intention. And when you're working with people, I would say that formula is used in many occasions. You always go in with a desire or an intention, because energetically the ley line will feel that, right? Just as other consciousness or sentient beings would feel that. The ley line itself, if you connected, you know where it is, then their intention is to increase or amplify this ley line and maybe clear any low vibrational energies or stuck energies on this ley line. And so when you go in with that intention energetically, that's already half the work there, right? Then you use sound, then you use frequency. For me, in Australia, the ley lines here are called song lines. And because I've got some, we call it indigenous, up my mother's line, I can hear the song, that I can sing a song and increase the ley lines, like, or amplify the energy of the ley line. But with that place, it's the drums and the intention of, I will amplify this line. What do you get out from amplifying a ley line? You'll actually affect the energy of the people in that neighborhood. When you feel an energy of or there's a lot of bad energies that happen in particular areas, murders, massacres that have happened on that site, you will feel it stuck in the land, right? So when you're playing that drum, you're bringing in light of higher consciousness, and the energy is to clear the lower vibrational energy, so you can amplify the energy of the neighborhood, of the place, and you can actually affect places in such an incredible way, because it's always energy first before matter. That's how we as people have to start thinking, that it's the energy of places that we can influence in a positive manner, just through our intention and through, dancing, singing, drumming, walking with other people, just having that nice energy.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's there's always an economic or fiscal kind of application as well. Like the property prices will go up, because people generally feel happier in a place. There's a more of a conducive community, unified field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it can affect so many things. It's like a ripple effect. It's like the veins of Mother Earth, really.
Right.
So,
it's like Tesla said, energy equals vibration and frequency.
yeah.
So Jane puts out the love and the kindness and the energy out there of that. Then also with the drum and the Native American flute, she tries to bring the essence of the energy and the vibration frequency into the land and our whole area. So, I mean, I guess maybe we already were doing stuff for the ley line, I guess.
You 100% are, if you're doing it. And those ley lines, can I just say, in my experience, especially with the song lines here, we call it, like with my mother's side, we've got connection to indigenous and people here, is that I can connect. It's like a bush telegraph, or the song lines. You can connect to someone all the way over the other side of Australia, right? A song will be made over that side, right? And then I will hear it all the way over here, because it's meant to drop into my consciousness, right? So it's like bush telegraph. It's bush telegraph, they call it, right? And I bet you in Native American culture, they would have the same sort of concept, right? That you can actually, it's like the World Wide Web, the ley lines. It's like the cosmic web, right? That you can pluck on one side of that web or sing a song through it, and it will, with your intention, you want to give it to someone, but it may have to pop through an intuitive that picks it up on the ley line, gets the download. This has actually happened to me before. Like I've heard a song through the fan, through the fireplace, right? It's going to sound really out there, right? And I can hear the song, an indigenous song, right? But through that song, I can feel who it's from, what the intention and who I need to give the information to. And the person that I gave the information to, his stepfather was an elder, or is an elder in Indigenous culture in Western Australia, right? And I gave him a message the next day saying, hey, your dad wants you to get in contact with him. He goes, keeps on bugging me by keeping ignoring. And I said, well, he's come through me, through the song line, and now, you know. So it's pretty amazing the capacity of these song lines and these ley lines that we've got real no idea about. But these cultures that have been here really connected to the earth and the squash, right? They're very much connected to the earth. There's so much more knowledge and capacity that we've only really stepping in our infancy. We're so childlike in our ways, you know, that we don't really understand or have no concept of the true information and knowledge that is all around us and through nature. Right?
Yeah, because we try to connect with nature, and Jane does it a lot more than me, obviously. But you know, we try to say like grounding or hugging a tree and feeling the energy coming from Mother Earth up through the tree, and plus a network that it has, the tree connected to the earth. And then, you know, like the wind swaying the branches in the trees, we try to feel that vibration, that energy that comes from that, or the gentle rain that hits the earth, and the freshness and the feeling that vibration brings. So we try to concentrate on the elements that are out there that connect us with the earth.
I talk to the mushrooms when they pop up in the yard.
Wow, that's awesome. What kind of mushrooms are they?
They're a wide variety. I mean, I should send you some pictures. There was like 30 different kinds. They all looked different last year, but they were in the same area. Some were flat, some were round, some had more of a cap. They were all different. It was so unique.
It's very interesting. I found the connection between portals and mushrooms as well. The old adage, you know, the fey ring or the circle is, you don't jump into the middle of the circle or the fey ring, because then you'll get taken for 100 years. You've heard that in our mythology. Mythology, you know, there's something to that. I do find that when there's a really strong portal, there'll be a ring of mushrooms near. Have you found that, Jane? In that area in the backyard?
There's been a couple times, that we've seen a ring. Yeah. And there was one last year that looked like it almost made a ring, but it didn't quite. But you can see in the grass that it looked just like the grass was kind of almost like a crop circle. It was like the grass was embedded down in a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for a while, even for a while, we weren't mowing the area when we'd find mushrooms, so we didn't want to destroy them or hurt them. While Jane was nurturing them and talking to them, and they even spread. You could see the path actually where they were starting and where they're going, and they ended up being out in the field going towards the ley line.
Amazing. I'm trying to get my camera started, but it's still not happening. So anyone that's joined now, I'm in black. It's not because I'm trying to be anonymous. Being forced to be anonymous.
Yeah, we thought about changing the name of this show to the black screen. Oh,
it's a bit bizarre, but anyway, that's my life.
No, but it's been a great talk. I mean, I love this. We actually have a couple questions that came up early. I hope they're still here. Blazer asked about ever seen a spirit that wasn't a human.
Yeah. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
No, I was kidding.
I mean, you don't have to go into it. It's just a basic question. You know, have you seen spirits of something 100%. Else besides the human?
Well, you know how we talk about energy, frequency, and vibration, right? Sometimes when I go back into a place, I'll go back into the energy, but I can just talk about it. I'll just put an energy around it so I don't reopen it. I'll do this as a shielding, and I'll shield myself now. So I shield myself. There we go. Very good. So before I've connected into a place that have had really horrific things that have happened, i.e. such as a murder, or this one particular place was I viewed it as someone who had suicided, but it was actually a murder-suicide. It was only uncovered as I got deeper into clearing the place. And there was a demonic element there. So an energy that looks like a demon is a demon because of the horror that has happened in the place, right? So I clear that with the light of transformation from the Creator and send this being into the light to be, usually they want to be destroyed because they're all about chaos and destruction. So then you're able to do that. All of us are able to do it, right? You can call in higher vibrational angelic energies, guardian angels to help you with it if you feel scared. The main thing is have no fear. Once you understand that your light surpasses all lower vibrational energies, you'll have no fear. You'll just have courage that comes through. Once you've done this enough times, right? Yes, I've seen entities as well. So when I'm working with people in the soul sessions, I'll feel and see energies that are vibrationally attached to the energetic biofield of that human being, usually to plug up the energy that is cracked or has a hole in the etheric field. I've learned to not see these energies as sort of bad or dark. It's just a way of us, when we're operating on a certain frequency or vibration, then our universe operates as like attracts like. So these entities or attachments are there to kind of plug up those holes, right?
All right. I was actually thinking of animals or pets or that
Oh,
have
right.
passed.
I'm off in woo-woo land. Yeah. Plenty of animals and pets. You know, I've seen pets that are hanging around with their owners. And a friend of mine has his cat that's passed away. Every time I give him a call on the phone, I can hear his cat purring. And when he's talking to me, he can hear it too. So really vocal.
Oh,
Just to let him know that Smokey, his little cat, is still with him. And I've seen, I've seen so many. A client of mine had a bird that passed away, and that dove is always with him, you know, on his shoulder. And, you know, it doesn't matter how small these beings are, they can have so much amazing light and love for their owners, you know. It's just so beautiful. It's amazing to see how much heart and love and beautiful consciousness that can come from such a little being, such a small little being like a dove, you know. It blows my mind. Yes, I've seen
then
those.
Moon at Noon asked, you said something about two spirits can be unaware of each other. Can one spirit haunt another?
Oh, good question.
Can spirits torment each other or pester each other? Or
I do believe so. I do believe in this work anything's possible. Let me just ask Spirit that question. I have seen it before. It's not so much haunt each other. They don't see each other because they're of a different frequency. That's what I generally find. But if you've got a situation, there's always a story, right? I do believe that they can haunt each other, but in life it has been like that too. Like you might have, I don't know, a perpetrator, and there might be like, you know, perhaps a really imbalanced domestic violence situation that you'll have the same story going on again with the male or female that is objecting one to a suppressive power and control element. But it's not always the case. It depends. It depends on each situation. But I believe anything's possible, right?
so two spirits that might be in the same house, can that happen? And you said they can't see each other?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
interesting.
because you always see in the movies or people tell, you know, or you have this haunting or mass haunting, and you think all these spirits are interacting with each other and all around you, but they don't actually see each other though.
Well, I'm using that example of that place house clearing that I did recently, where I had you know, that I won't go into too much detail, but the whole family, the children died of you know, they call it the Spanish flu back in 1910.
Yes.
The mother went mad with, you know, grief, literally 3 children die all at once, pretty much within 2 or 3 days of each other, that you can understand and have so much compassion for her that she went mad with grief back in the 1930s, and not a lot of help with mental health. And so the husband, she wasn't able to see the husband. And he was talking to me about, she was like, still had mental health issues, right?
Okay.
She was really stuck in her world and her stuckness that she couldn't see her husband. And so I ended up working with her, letting go of all these energies that she had, and reconnected her with her children. Of course, that lifted her spirits up. Then she was able to see her husband. So that's the example, right?
Was she holding a baby and rocking it?
Yeah, could you see that?
Yes, I could.
Wow, very good. Yeah, I didn't tell you that either. So there you go, Gerald, clairvoyant. So her youngest one was 10 months old. You know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I could see her actually being sad, sorrow, and holding her baby and rocking it like to comfort her baby.
Yeah, and she did. And that helped her heaps when I connected her to the 10-month-old, because there was I think a 5-year-old and then a 8-year-old child. So different ages, these children. But what was happening was that she was just so lost. She kept on going into the current reality and trying to connect to the children of the lady that was living in the house. And of course that was going to cause problems because the kids weren't getting any sleep. And that's when they call out to me, you know. I'm like,
Wow.
how long have you been dealing with this for? Oh yeah, like a year. I'm like, oh my God. You know, I don't know how people can just have that cognitive dissonance, and, you know, because we live in a society that says that this reality doesn't exist. You know, I must be going crazy. I must be going mad. And then she took the photo, such a clear photo of this lady. And I just feel the lady just got to a point where it's like she's had enough, you know. And I do think there's probably more hauntings now these days because of the ascension, right, of the light quota, the plasma, the gamma rays that are coming to this planet and raising the frequency. I think we're going to get, or possibly more, spook activity because those spirits want to go to the light, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this has been very interesting. I don't know if you want to go any longer or not, but this could be a good place to stop. We've been on for almost an hour and a half, getting close.
Wow.
Yeah, like I wish you could see me. I don't know. How does this actually happen when the camera goes out like this?
I don't know either. It's weird.
It sure is, isn't it?
But at least we can hear you, and you know, it's kind of nice. You know, maybe like I said, maybe we should have black screen sessions or something. Where we don't have nobody picture up.
Well, maybe it would be better for people if they want to speak anonymously about what happened to them, because some people would find it a bit much to go publicly and talk about their experiences for, you know, for risk of public ridicule and all of that. Unfortunately, we've got like a society, human consciousness that, you know, I think is slowly dipping their toe into this. And I think it's becoming definitely more mainstream, thank God. But we've got a long way to go, you know. And I can bet you there's more people that have most amazing stories and that have really connected telepathically to squash that will just go, if I talked about that, no one would believe me, you know. But on this show, I'll tell you what, they're just hungry for it. So, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think more people are becoming awake and they're open and they're starting to realize of this activity around them, you know, like whether it's seeing something out of the corner of your eye or maybe an object is moved from one place to another, and you sit there and think, well, I didn't do that. But then you just kind of brush it off. Oh, maybe I'm just not remember doing it, or.
Yeah, because the reality is too much, isn't it? There's actually something that's unseen, unknown, that's literally transporting things from one room to another. I mean, if you yep, that's happening. Okay, great. And then you go into, you know, fear usually. So that's why people don't want to know about it.
Well, before
Or
you
YouTube.
go or before we stop, we have a question about any more info from the whales.
Well, last week on Whimsical Wednesday, the biggest thing that came across that there's much more activity going on in the Pacific Ocean and the Ring of Fire, and there will be activity on the west coast of America, more quakes, more seismic activity. I'm getting a feeling of possible volcanoes that erupt because I can see that orange glow, that lava.
Right. Well, Hawaii's got activity going on right now on the
Oh,
islands,
right.
and
That would make sense.
in Yellowstone Park on the west coast of the U.S., we just had that geyser erupt because had so much pressure in it, and it just blew big like a volcano. No lava that I know of, just the water, the hot water.
Well,
Mount St. Helens is acting up.
Yeah, what did I say months ago? You've been watching my show. I said, when you see Mount St. Helens with the energy going there, that's when you know that there's going to be a quake that will come. I feel, and I'm not the only one who's saying this, I feel like a few psychics are actually picking it up, but the whales have been talking about that. If you need to pack and go, please do. That's what I'm getting from the whales, actually, is to trust. Just like because if whoever I'm connected to, right, it's almost like before I pull them in to telepathically connect with them, they already know the conversations that we've had through this whole conversation. And they said, many of you need to trust your intuition more. It's imperative over the next decade, especially with all the seismic and earth changes that will be occurring on this planet. We have no choice but to trust our senses in the ocean, for it leads us to where the food is. And you see, this is understandably why your senses have not been activated in many ways, because it's not used inherently for your survival. So that's why a lot of your telepathic abilities if you're not using them, then they don't grow, do they?
Right.
So
you have to exercise them and use your skills. It's like anything you would do in this plane. You have to do it spiritually too.
Well, this is why I've got it, because I use it in my sessions. I have to have a really heightened sense of sensitivity, because I need to be able to navigate and go to these places and see what I need to see. And yes, you're right, Gerald, I tend to activate other people's clairvoyant abilities. Just through having it energetically, it's just highlighting. And I said that to you because you're good at graphics, and it's usually a bit of a hint when someone's creative or artistic that they are probably highly clairvoyant. And, Jane, with the sound healing, the sensitivity that you've got to your senses, your intuition, your felt sense, you just know it. We've all got strengths in different areas. It's just about understanding what they are. And if you don't use it, you'll lose it. That's what the whales are saying. Use it or lose it, basically, and trust
it or lose it. Yep.
Yeah, if you need to pack up, I could just keep on hearing that from some of the whales. If you need to pack up and go because you have a feeling, do it. Trust your intuition, especially when the quakes that will be occurring on the west coast that are starting to amp up. Not to put anyone into fear, it's just to really trust your intuition, because it could mean life or death in some situations. I just had a feeling that I had to go and walk into that shop, and the next thing you know, a big truck is hit the pedestrian path. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Now Tennessee keeps asking about an Arctic dragon.
He keeps on asking me too. I did have a picture of a dragon last night that I was really into, and I put it on my. What does he say? I keep bugging Chloe. Yes, you do. To talk to the Arctic dragon. It has info on Antarctica. That dragon is in her area. Okay. Shall I do it publicly, Tennessee? Let's do it. Arctic dragon. While we're connecting to the whales, it wouldn't be that hard to connect to the Arctic dragon. Let me just tune in, because I haven't tuned into the Arctic dragons. 1 second. So, I have to kind of cough sometimes, or change my frequency a little bit just to connect into the Arctic dragon. Is that the
Yeah.
North or the South Pole? Is that south? Because Arctic is north, right? Antarctica is south. So I'm just wondering, is it south or is it north, Tennessee?
South.
South.
So it's south.
It says it has information on Antarctica.
All right.
That
So the
dragon
energy-
is in her area.
Yeah, well, the energy that I get like a white-looking dragon. That's how I'm seeing her, is what I'm getting, is the female energy. And it's heavily armored. Antarctica is heavily controlled. That's what I'm getting very strongly. And that some will be allowed to go into. There's so much snow now. I'm seeing like white, so snowy, it's foggy, and I can see the snow. Just showing what I'm seeing. As the earth shifts, there will be some parts of Antarctica that will be exposed to the sun. It's like the sun melts it or something. I can see more of Antarctica being exposed. And then more of the information and knowledge will be revealed of the place that it used to be. There is hidden archaeology in these places, very, very ancient place. And I'm hearing an ancient fort of some description. And there was even technology that has outsurpassed many of you. It is many, many millions of years old. But then I get a shush, like a shh, like that from the dragon. And we know this from being in this field. There's a lot of activity going on in Antarctica, right?
Right. Yeah. This Admiral Byrd alone talking about the inner Earth and technology and extraterrestrials guided them down in with and mind speak and telepathy.
Yeah. And anyone there's a book called The Smoky God, which is like a Norwegian man who lived, or Swedish, he lived in America, and he experienced this as a child in 1880, 1890. His father went to the beginning of the inner Earth, and this whole book about it. It's a really thin book, but there's a lot of juice in it. So it's another angle. It's not just Admiral Byrd. It's another guy as well.
What's the name of the book?
The Smoky God.
The Smoky God.
Yeah. So yeah, his father traveled through to the inner Earth and saw a place of much higher technology. And that's why, I mean, I don't need to say anything people don't already know, but that's why I feel the high, what did the dragon just say? Is very highly monitored. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I can see military, and I won't go into it too much.
Right.
That's why my screen's all blacked
I
out.
wouldn't go much further. That might be something you and Tennessee can talk on your own, or
yes, Tennessee, we can talk on our own. You got
obviously Antarctica is a hands-off area with no one can travel there unless you're part of an agency or a part of an experiment. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and she's showing me the flight paths are stopped as well. It's not just walking to certain places; it's heavily monitored, and I can see quite aggression if that is to go, because it's kind of like once that little jigsaw puzzle piece has been put into the zeitgeist, it kind of creates a ripple effect into realizing the capacity of who we are. That's all I'm going to say about it, our true capacity. That's why people like me get our screens blanked and all that sort of stuff, which is really quite unnecessary. I still work with people via Zoom. And so when you do remote work or distant work, I think using your frequency, you can really shift things to the positive, or energies to the positive. So everything I'm talking about in regards to ley lines, in regards to other sentient beings, you can do this all via distance. It doesn't have to be in front of you.
Right.
And that's the biggest paradigm shift of our reality, is to realize that our consciousness is connected to every sentient being, not just on this earth, but in the galaxy. We are connected to the divine cosmic web of life, right? And that's why we're going to have many more occurrences with our galactic brothers and sisters. We're going to see way more ships going forward in the future. It's a little bit like the slowly drip, drip, drip. So our consciousness, I mean, a lot of us are pretty much ahead of the game in realizing that, you know, everything about energy, frequency, and vibration. But the general population, it's like, that's why we're getting fed it in like drip feeds like this, a little bit at a time, little bit at a time, little bit at a time, until we get to that tipping point, you know. Yes, we are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That's the unity consciousness, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what they're talking about, you know. Yeah. All right.
Well, Chloe, I think that's a good spot to stop on. And, you know, when we have you back, maybe we'll continue down this line and talking about consciousness and connection and
Mm-hmm.
whatever else comes to us. It's like we did tonight. Whatever happens, we're willing to go down and explore and see what we get out of it.
Yes, wonderful. So lovely to connect to you two again. And tune into Whimsical Wednesdays. It's on a 1 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time on my YouTube channel that I've been going since 2020, ever since I started talking to trees. And I just thought the information that's coming through from the animals, the trees, the other beings that I'm connecting to, are really going to help people to connect to their own abilities and the capacity for all of us to be, you know, telepathic. And the thing is, we are all multidimensional. We just don't realize it, you know.
Right.
Okay. And also, if you want a healing or a ghost clearing, it's my web page is www.chloeariell.com.au.
So for us in the US, it's actually on Tuesdays.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Like 9 or 10 o'clock, depending on what part of the country you live. So it's Wednesday for you for your show, but it's Tuesdays here in the US.
It's 10 o'clock Central for us when your show comes on.
Okay. All right. At 10 o'clock at night? Oh, wow.
Yeah, 10
Tuesday,
p.m.
Tuesday
10
night.
p.m. Tuesday for your Wednesday session.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I never know who's going to come through. Sometimes I'll have a bit of information, but I can't force it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I'm kind of like this open channel on that day at that time, and it's for the. I always do. I do check if it's high vibration or not. Do you come to me with unconditional love? You know.
Mm-hmm.
But you can feel, you can
Mm-hmm.
feel it a mile ahead, can't you, Jane? If something's of low vibrational, like when I said that about that portal, you were like, I felt really icky about it. I felt icky about it straight away when we talked about it, the square portal traveling along the lines. I'm like, something's wrong about it. Something feels off, right? So if something feels off, you just do not connect with it, right? That's that's your instinct. That's our animal instinct, you know.
Yep.
So, it's only high vibrational, and it's always informative. It brings in knowledge. I mean, the whales have been fantastic for talking about the quakes, and they've been accurate, you know, in quite a few examples where quakes are about to hit. Just now talking about, I could see Hawaii. I didn't know that about Hawaii, or that a volcano had erupted there, but I could see it in my mind's eye, right? So, it's just about trusting. We really have to learn to trust our own instincts and intuition, definitely going forward. I feel like we're all going to. Okay. Thanks a lot. Sorry about the camera. I can't help the camera.
That's fine. It was great either way. I mean, it's nice that we were able to still hear you, even though we would love to have seen you the whole time. But they can rewind and go back to the beginning of the show, and you were on camera then until we hit our little problem. But we just lost her.
Yeah, it says device not connected.
Oh my.
They really booted her out. There she is.
Now she got her camera back. There you go.
I had this feeling just like get out and come back in again. So I thought, I'm just gonna I'm going to trust my intuition, right? And
Right.
it worked. Yay.
So I was just getting ready to tell everybody when you dipped out that make sure you go and like and subscribe to Chloe's channel, Chloe Ariell Soul Sessions on YouTube. Now Jane just locked up because she tried to do her little image.
Oh no. Can you hear me though?
Yeah. But make sure you go over to Chloe's channel on YouTube and subscribe and like, but also on Rumble, because you know how YouTube can be. So we all have our backup channels on Rumble or some other social platform. So look for on Rumble also, and us. And this, for some reason, our Rumble didn't go live tonight, but Facebook and YouTube did. But I will upload this to Rumble. And also we are on Spotify now.
Yeah. Shenanigans. Someone's playing funny buggers.
Yeah.
I thought I saw a like green orb before Jane disappeared. So the green orb, what's that?
Well, I think it was actually supposed to be balloons going up, but it just caught right there. Look, it looks like a green orb.
Dog got it.
Amazing.
Well, before they kick my picture off, I think we should go ahead and just end this, and we'll have you back again, and we'll just continue this kind of talk. It's been great.
Absolutely. I enjoy it. I love telepathing with all different beings, you know, especially if it's to help us. We need all the help that we can get as a species, I feel. So,
right. I mean, not only does it help us, but in the same way, helping us helps the planet, helps the spirits, helps the animals, helps Mother Nature, the earth. I mean, we need to heal the land, and we need to be in connection again with our senses and the elements and everything else that's going around us.
Yep, it's all about connection. You got it in one. It really is reconnecting us back to our true nature, really. Christ consciousness, humanity, the earth. Get back in touch with earth. And we're probably all on our phones like this, you know, but like slow down, connect to a tree, and you'll be amazed about what you get intuitively, you know, slowing down, and then you're able to hear, you're able to sense and hear lots of different things. All righty. Very good. Right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Well, we'll just end it right here and say goodbye to everybody in chat. We love you guys. Thank you for coming up. I tried to pay attention to your questions and what was going on in chat, but we just had a great, interesting conversation with Chloe, and so much information came out tonight. I thought it was just awesome and very informative, and it was fun at the same time. So I consider that a win for us.
Yeah. Someone said, told you should have addressed the flashing light behind Chloe.
Yeah.
The thing is, I do this. I have this effect on lights, and other psychic mediums that I know deal with as well. I think I'm at a house sitting situation. I think I've blown the vacuum cleaner, and I rang the owners up and I said, what's going on with the solar? And they said, we've never had an issue with the solar. I said, the lights go on and off. And they said, that's never happened before. And I'm like, oh no. I just think that when you've got a lot of, after a channeling, you've got a lot of energy, so you need to ground it. And when you don't ground, you bust the lights.
Right. So when you go back home, you'll have to get in contact with them and see if the lights act normal.
I don't know what else I've busted. I think there's an air dryer I accidentally blew as well. The lights just went off. Yeah, no, learning how to manage my energy, I think, is the thing, you know. Oh, I'm very highly activated right now. I need to ground my energy, you know. All right. I'll see you guys later.
All right. So everybody in chat, we love you. Thank you for coming. Don't go anywhere, Chloe.
Okay.
So thank you all in chat. We love you. And just like we talked in the show, you know, love yourself. You know, make a healing process for you to love yourself so you can love others and put that energy out there, and keep looking up.
Yep.
Keep looking up, everybody.
Have no fear and keep your vibrations high.
Yep. All right. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
See you later.